Hi, welcome back to Wallflowers. So as we know, times are difficult for us all right now. Stressful, working out survival techniques, working out everything, affecting people's mental health, and quite a strain on us all. So with that said, those of us with a good disposition and a sense of humour realise how vital it is to keep that sense of humour alive. Mine's just been peaked today, absolutely brilliantly. And it's just dawned on me, and I've just realised that preppers ain't weird anymore. We had a fry up for breakfast, Mr. Wallflowers and I was really stuffed, and I thought I'd just sit here, have a little bit of a break and have a browse through my phone. And a number of things I was seeing, that I've been seeing for a short while now. People looking at bargain prices for food in the shops, recipes, how to eke that food out and make it last longer, discussing utility bills and the best way to try and provide heating in the home, such as we were discussing yesterday in my video, whether it be the terracotta pots, the stainless steel tubs, using the throws, sources to keep warm, and lots of people are discussing that right now. It just kind of clicked in my head, and I thought, yeah, the media are exposing this, the media are telling us around the world, prep, get some food in, make sure you're stored for the cold winter, or should the blackouts happen or anything happen. And it just dawned on me, we're not weirdos anymore just for that. Everyone's doing it. Anyone with a bit of sensibility is doing it. So, yeah, preppers ain't weird anymore. So, I'll always be called weird in some concept or other. I'll always be called a conspiracy theorist because of my views, other than people who read newspapers constantly and listen to the mainstream view. I'll always be a conspiracy theorist. And to me, it's a coincidence theorist, because more and more the theories that people like me and some of yourselves are discussing are coming more true by the day, such as the digitalisation of the human body, using a chip in your hand to pay for goods in the shops, etc. Now, we were calling that an RFID chip 10, 14 years ago, discussing it and saying one day it's coming, and each step by step, day by day, it's becoming a reality that cash may be taken out the system and everything's going to be digitalised. We'll have these money wallets and etc, etc, etc. But back to the preppers section of it, we're not weird. We're not weird. We're normal, everyday people. Now, yes, I wish I'd done it many moons ago, longer than the 2, possibly 3 years since we did start it. I wish I'd been doing it a lot longer. And those of you that have, I'll know your self-security, self-confidence in the stress factor that's being piled upon us. Have we got enough to get through? How long is it going to be? And you'll have prepped in different directions other than food source prep. I remember when I first started mentioning the concept to my husband, saying I'd like to set up a pantry. I'd like to start collecting extra food. Can you build me some shelves in the utility? And even he laughed at me, he looked at me and said, for what? For what reason? This was 3.5 years ago. For what reason? I said, well, we're going to need it, something's coming. Even if something does not come, we're not getting any younger, so we could have illnesses, accidents, etc. There was quite a few reasons I started to prep. It wasn't just a bleak outlook on this is going to happen, although it was a primary thought. And as I say, he laughed at me, and slowly but surely I started to collect a few bits in a box here and a few bits in a box there, and he noticed they started getting in the way. So 12 months later, he actually built me those shelves. You know, I only had to remind him once a week for the 12 months, but he finally got there. I'm taking the laughter where I find it at the moment because we need that release, you know. Mr. Wallflowers is laughing along behind the camera. But it's true. 12 months later, he built the shelves. I started labelling, I started getting a little bit organised what we had, and I started doing it in categories, you know. A month, 2, 3 months, I'd concentrate on one section, whether it be sauces, pickles, etc. Then I'd be looking at cereals and what we'd use for breakfast ideas, main meals ideas, what we'd use for this, what we'd use for that. And because we didn't have a lot of money to outlay, I'd split it up. And over the 2 to 3 years, that's how I spaced out. Every 2 to 3 months, I've looked for toiletries, I've looked for this, I've looked for that, and tried to bulk buy tins, break them down, and can them. And even canning, talking about canning, when I started the canning 2 to 3 years ago, I didn't know anybody else in the UK who was actually doing that. So my research heavily depended on the Americans, what they were doing on YouTube, what they were doing on social media sites. I looked at the Amish, what they were doing, what they'd done for centuries. My favourites within the American area were the deep country accents. You know, old ladies and how they'd been brought up and what they did and how they made the bread and the stories and the history behind it of the families and how they taught the daughters to do it, and it was a trend, and the daughters canned with the mothers, and you know, it was just became tradition within the deep country Americans, and a lot of Americans, not just the deep country, but there's a high percentage all over America that haven't got a clue how to can as much as us in the UK. So, you know, it is a personal choice. You know, I originally start just to talk to close friends, and I'd say, you know, I'm considering buying 2 5 kilos of flour, one plain, one self-raising. And they'd look at me and they go, what are you doing that for? I'm going, well, I bake and I do things, and I'd like to have a stock just in case the shops run out, whatever. That's not going to happen. You've got a tinfoil hat on you conspiracy theorist, you're mad, and this, that and the other. But the odd one who'd say they're doing it, but on household security or different things. I had one friend who was looking at solar power, one friend who was looking at thermal husky heating within the home and looking at different aspects, not the same as me, but still looking at me quizzical, why would you do what you're doing, you know? Gradually, I mean, I'd say it's as recent as the last 8 months, you know, not even the whole 2 years of the lockdown. I'd say about the last 8 months. I've become more familiar with other people who are canning and dehydrating within the UK. Now, I'm not saying people haven't done it before me. I'm not saying I'm the first by a long chalk. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying through my awareness, I wasn't aware of others in the UK doing what I'm doing. But yeah, we all know the way. But within the last 8 months, I've become familiar with either people I know doing it or people I've come into contact through social media and got friendly with, etc. Canning, I mean, even the big major sites, you know, Liz Zorab and other people who do big major gardening sites and that, I'm only familiar with them doing it over the last 8 months or so, you know, and they're big names. I've got a large following, and I wasn't familiar with them doing canning and stuff like that to stock a pantry, stock a kitchen before that time. So yeah, really good thing is there's some that I've actually learnt just a tad from me, and I'm pleased to say I've had a little tiny helping hand in them buying canners and dehydrators and having a little helping hand and giving a slight bit of advice along the way, and yet they've done their research and yet they've got their own interests and they followed it through, and they be doing it in their own strength and their own heart and doing it in their own way. So that brought me quite a bit of pleasure, thinking back and thinking, yeah, you know, we're headed in the right direction. You know, of all the struggles we've got, you know, that prepping we've done so far, every little bit of it's useful. You know, those values and hopes we've got have got us through this far, and the work we've done to back that up will take us through a long, long way. So today, take pleasure. Preppers ain't weirdos anymore. Really relish that fact, you know, really enjoy it. Take your pleasures where you can find it. I am. Thanks for joining me today. Take care.